Hey guys, Claire here. In today's video, we're going to talk about all things Harry and Meghan. Now, Suits is still going strong, topping streaming charts with the most amount of minutes watched according to Nielsen. And Suits has been so successful that the spin-off Pearson has been revived and will be streaming on Peacock, which is pretty spectacular. Now, speaking of successful projects that Harry and Meghan have been a part of, Heart of Invictus has officially dropped. I have watched all 5 episodes, and if you haven't watched it yet, what are you waiting for? When I say it's so good, I mean it's so good. It's not very long, it's 5 episodes. It is an emotional roller coaster. So, get the tissues ready, just in case you need them. I got so choked up and definitely shed some tears, which I wasn't expecting to do, but the stories were so emotionally stirring that I couldn't help it. Now, I'm not going to give you any spoilers because, again, I want you guys to go and watch it and then come back and let me know what you think, or if you have watched it, let me know what you think in the comments. But it basically follows 6 different competitors from like the US, UK, Canada. There's like Korea, Ukraine, and it just follows these competitors, gives you their backstory. It shows you them preparing for the games, and it just goes into so much depth that was definitely unexpected. But I should have known better because the producers of this project are known for creating spectacular work, and they definitely did not disappoint this time around. Now, it's really fun to see both Heart of Invictus and Suits on the homepage of Netflix. Irrelevant where. How cool is that? To see a show that your wife has been in that has ended 4 years ago, still doing so well on Netflix, and now Harry has Heart of Invictus, and they're both being consumed by so many around the world. Talk about impactful. Now, a couple of the royalist trolls have been attempting to review bomb Heart of Invictus, which is something that they basically do for every single project that Harry and Meghan has done. I mean, they tried to review bomb Meghan's book The Bench and Harry's book Spare, to the point where Amazon had to step in and be like, okay, no, we see what you're doing, and you can't leave reviews for something that you haven't even bought, something that you have not read. And, places like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, that's not the case. So they're on there going crazy. They even tried to review bomb Meghan's podcast. It's insane the amount of dedication these people put into consuming everything that Harry and Meghan do, everything that they produce, and just showing up to be hateful about it. When, if you're saying that you're a supporter of the monarchy and you love William and Kate, why don't you just go and focus on the things that they do? Go support them. You know? Why are you paying attention to Invictus Games and Heart of Invictus? When William had his Earthshot thing, I mean, people were tuning off the TV within 2 minutes of it being on. You see William going out and doing engagements, and there's like nobody there in the crowd. So how are you a fan of his, but you're not really showing up for him? You're showing up to hate on his brother and his wife. It's insane. Now, of course, the royal trolls have been as bad as the UK press. Now, for me personally, I have zero expectations of unbiased coverage when it comes to Harry and Meghan from anyone under the Rupert Murdoch umbrella, anyone within the UK press, and even some of the Australian press as well. Like, my expectations from them is at like -100. But it is interesting to see veterans come out in support of Harry. I saw that one of the like royal correspondents, or she's a journalist in the UK, spewing her vile nonsense about Heart of Invictus and about Harry, and you see so many veterans coming under the comment section, calling her out and ripping her to shreds. Normally, I don't like when people are ripped to shreds on Twitter, but I'm not gonna lie, I laughed my butt off. was very satisfying to see. Also, there was a segment where there was like Dr. Tessa Dunlop, I believe her name is. And I know that there are some in the Sussex squatties who are not particularly fond of her. They think she's like a little flip-flopper. But there was a segment with her and I believe 2 other royal reporters who had not even seen Heart of Invictus yet and decided to sit and give commentary on a show that you hadn't seen. How? How, Sway?
Absolutely horrified. So they tell me in the short period we've had about what he's coming out with.
All I would say is I've often heard Harry tell his story and it's never elicited a tear. I've never cried for Harry. I was flying back yesterday from Romania and I watched 2 episodes back to back and the man said, "Are you all right, love?" Tears pouring down my cheeks because the stories in that Heart of Invictus series are so moving. Nothing to do with Prince Harry. So I would beseech both you and Duncan to please watch it first and comment second. And I think we found a replacement for Stacey Dooley. Or perhaps a partner for... I mean, he's quite brilliant. He's very congenial. He's very warm. This is Harry at his best. Even the Times newspaper said that. I really beseech you to watch it.
Honestly, it just sort of reminds me of those royal reporters who were duped by the YouTube pranksters, you know, happy to take money and sit down and record videos, interviews about the Oprah interview that they had not seen. These people are unscrupulous. So that's why I say whenever it comes from the royal reporters or the UK press in general, not just the tabloids, I don't trust it. I don't trust that they'll ever have the ability to be unbiased. I don't. So, like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I want you guys to go see it, but it was definitely so inspiring and heartwarming. The story, well, I mean, just about every veteran story was incredibly touching, but Team Ukraine, oh my goodness. The tears I have cried. And what I also love about Heart of Invictus is that it shows that the issues of these veterans, the trauma and tragedies that they face, really shapes every facet of their lives. And it doesn't start and end with these individual servicemen and women, but it affects their loved ones. It affects their children, their wives, their spouses. It has far-reaching ramifications. And I love that Invictus Games and Heart of Invictus really showcases the way that this community really embraces these veterans. Lets them know that they're not alone, that there are brothers and sisters in arms who have probably not the same exact issues that they do, but very similar. So they understand it, they see it, and they support you. At least not just you, but they support the families as well. And that's one of the things that I love the most about the Invictus Games. It's not just about showing up and the pageantry and competition for that week. It goes far beyond that, and it builds so many incredible relationships that helps these men and women to go through and face and conquer those tragedies and trauma that they all face.
Well, I've watched the first 2 episodes of the series, and it is fantastic. It is very compelling. The stories are wonderful. It's beautifully filmed. It's very, very emotional. It's actually very moving. I find it hard to watch without crying at some of the stories of these incredibly brave, afflicted soldiers and what the games mean to them. But to pick out those 2 little phrases you would imagine that the whole thing is about Harry whining on. It's not at all that. It's the story of the games, the story of the people, the story of what the games mean to them. And those 2 comments that you picked out when he said he didn't get therapy, when he may have been advised to get therapy, but you need to have more than that. I think what he was pointing out was that there's the great loneliness when you come back from active service, and all the servicemen said that. There's a loneliness, you're on your own. And you know, it's only when you're in a fetal position, lying on the ground crying, that you realise that you do need something. And he went for that. And so I just don't see the problem. He's done a brilliant job with the Invictus Games. He continues to do that, and I think this will go a long way to showing, it's very unfair to pick out these tiny things. It's a 5-part series, and these are 2 comments that less than 20 seconds each.
Lynn, bringing you in for your reaction.
Funny enough, I do echo a lot of what you say.
This is your daily reminder that these publications have a vested interest in making you hate Prince Harry and attack his credibility, because he is taking them to court and they need to destabilize his public image and wreak as much havoc as they can, because he is taking them on. And the royal family is complicit in this. As you can see, members of King Charles's inner circle, including his private secretary Clive Alderman and his communications secretary, were there at Murdoch's summer party earlier this year. That little Murdoch summer shindig even had Rebecca Brooks, who hacked the royals' phones, and Sarah Vine, who wrote totally not racist pieces like this.
Hey everyone, come with me to appear on ITV's Good Morning Britain. So I had a car come to get me at 6:30 in the morning. It was so early. As you can see, I'm really tired, like just exhausted. I barely slept the night before. So we got in the car and they took me all the way to Television Centre in West London, just next to Westfield. Went straight into hair and makeup and then did some prep for my segment. We were actually talking about Meghan and Harry's new Invictus Games documentary. And so I had to watch it really quickly before I went on. There's me in the mirror in the green room, a little fit check with my outfit. And then it was time to go onto set. I couldn't take my phone, so here's a recording that someone made of me on screen. So we were essentially talking about Meghan and Harry and their kind of rebrand after leaving the royal family, their charity work. I was of the opinion that everything they've done so far has been quite successful. Spare is the fastest selling non-fiction book of all time. Meghan's podcast Archetypes was #1 in 6 countries and was award winning. Basically, they have a kind of Midas touch. Everything they do has such huge impact. And so from my perspective, I do think that this sort of rebrand, as it were, is working. But actually, I don't know if it's a rebrand because they've been doing this charity work for a long time. People have just chosen not to see it, I suppose. My opponent there did not agree with me. She basically said that the damage has been done, people don't like them, they're not respected, etc. I'd beg to differ for one small reason. This past weekend, Meghan's mum, Doria Ragland, was photographed not only with Kim Kardashian, but with the one and only Kris Jenner. And say what you like about the Kardashians, but one thing they never do is be photographed by accident. If they are photographed with someone, it's because they want to be seen with them. And I think that speaks volumes about Meghan and Harry's brand. People think they're good for their brand, and it's because they're doing well. It's because they're respected. I think sometimes our opinion of them is very warped in the UK, whereas globally, they're seen as doing amazing charity work. Meghan is known for her incredible outfits, and people are literally on tenterhooks to see what they do next. There is an Instagram account that is rumored to be Meghan's, rumored to be where she's going to launch her big social media comeback. The Instagram handle is @Meghan if you want to follow. That account has 0 posts, and yet it's already got 100,000 followers. And it just goes to show how much we are interested in them and want to see what they do next. So yeah, bye.
Hey y'all, hey, what y'all doing? Me? Nothing. Just got finished watching the Invictus Games. Shout out to these two. That docuseries was beautifully done. So well produced. I am so glad that these two take their time with their production. It's chef's kiss. Even if I wasn't a fan of theirs, I would probably watch that docuseries again because it's so beautifully done. I was completely touched by the story of George and Tara from the Ukraine. If you have not watched that docuseries or that limited series, because it's only 5 episodes, you probably will be tearing up at some point in time. And I love the fact that Harry and Meghan were not really there. Like, they are there, but they make sure that that docuseries is centered around the vets, their stories, and their families. And I love that. But I also like how you people who hate them watched it anyway, just so you can critique each word that comes out of Harry and Meghan's mouth. Mainly Harry, because he does most of the speaking anyway. So bump a whole docuseries about service veterans. You completely jump over that just to focus on what Harry says. Y'all are more fans of Meghan and Harry than us supporters. Like, it's ridiculous, because I've already seen what some of you have said on Twitter. And again, I will never understand how you decide to talk about people you don't like, watch people you don't like on a daily basis, come to support pages about people you don't like just to leave negative racist comments. Still trying to figure that out. But again, shout out to these two. I love this picture because it completely stands for everything that the Invictus Games is about. So mother and father, well done. Bravo.
Agreed. I am glad that the US is focusing on the vets. And the UK media is so weird to me because as a vet of the UK, I would feel so disrespected. Like, yes, that's Prince Harry's, he's the patron of this organization. He founded this organization. But you mean to tell me you're completely jumping over what I've been through? I'm literally taking the courage to talk about what I've been through, what my family has been through. I've kind of even given you just a glimpse of what I dealt with over there in Iraq or Afghanistan. And I've gotten the courage to discuss this on a nationally or worldwide documentary / event, okay? And you completely disregard my experiences just to badmouth the man who's given me the opportunity to express myself, to allow me to get back to feeling like the old me, and to allow my family see me get back to the old me, even if it's just for a little bit. You try to take that away from me because you hate the man who made it so bad that you've got to badmouth him on something that he's made that represents me. As a service veteran of the UK, I would be fuming hot, and I feel like they should write an op-ed or whatever it is you do to get your voices out over there regarding that, because that makes absolutely no sense. I'd be pissed too.
A talented group of dancers from the Bay Area is headed to Germany for a performance that will draw attention from all over the world. Axis Dance Company is in rehearsals for the opening ceremony of the upcoming Invictus Games. Axis is an integrated dance company made up of non-disabled dancers and dancers with disabilities. The Invictus Games is an Olympic-style event for wounded, injured, and sick service members. Axis Dance Company's artistic director says she lobbied for a spot in the Games to bring more diversity to the opening ceremony.
I guess I was very convincing, talked to them in different times, and I proposed the project, and they really liked it, and they liked what Axis Dance Company do, and so they decided to take us.
Yeah, the performance will take place on September 9th before the Invictus Games begin in Dusseldorf, Germany.
That is fantastic.
It is.
Pa, it's William. It took you long enough to answer the phone. I've called you all morning and you haven't answered. Pa, you have to do something about this. He's back in the news with this documentary. I don't know what to do. He keeps stealing my thunder. Please give me another idea. Earth's shot is shot to shit. I need something new, Pa, or we need some dirt to dish.
Child, and as you quite rightly point out, without Meghan, who was with him last year, he's then going to be for the opening of the Invictus Games. Now, Meghan's going to join him later in the process. I think it goes on to the 16th, so she's going to join him at some stage. But
just a quick word on Meghan meeting him in Germany. You know,
Why can't she come? She never seems to come to Britain anymore. She didn't come during his court dramas, and this time she's pointedly avoiding Britain. I think she's made a decision. She never wants to step foot in this country again.
I think you're absolutely right, Kevin, and I think you're going to have visits to Britain by Meghan Markle as rare as hen's teeth. To be perfectly honest, I don't visualise we'll ever see her stepping foot into this country again. In the very near future, or even further.
I think she's decided she never wants to step foot in this nation again.
So, Prince William failed to go to the World Cup final. Now he's driving his Uncle Andy around, whilst he's still on holiday, this time at Balmoral. It's a mystery as to how he got there. But keep it up, William, because at this rate, there'll be no need for a campaign to abolish the monarchy.
Hi, Minis. When I tell you this article literally melted my heart, like it literally did. So an athlete from the Invictus Games shared his special trip to Hawaii with Prince Harry. You can see him on the left. His name is Gabriel George. And in the article, he said that Prince Harry is like a brother to him. Prince Harry went on a scuba diving trip with Gabriel George, and he said that once he hit the water, it was like he had another buddy. Now, obviously, you can see here that Gabriel George has lost his right arm, it looks like. Anyways, he said that every conversation that he had with him has been just like talking to a friend, a brother. Maybe because of the military connection that we have. Speaking on the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry.
In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Suits creator Aaron Korsh opened up about the royal family interfering with Meghan's character, Rachel Zane. Aaron recalled one particular line of dialogue the palace wanted changed, in which Meghan's character was supposed to say the word poppycock. The argument was that someone could take the audio and splice it to sound like Meghan was saying just the second part of the word. On the surface, this seems reasonable, especially considering people have done things like upload images of Meghan from Suits to porn sites. But let's be honest, this wasn't about protecting Meghan. This was about protecting the royal family and their image, and this was also about control. This wasn't actually new information. Harry told us about it in Spare. He said that life on set for Meghan had become untenable. The show writers were frustrated because they were often advised by the palace comms team to change lines of dialogue, what her character would do, or how she would act. But the royal family attempting to control Meghan's career and her income prior to her and Harry even being married is particularly problematic, especially since Charles suggested Meghan continue acting, claiming he did not have enough money to pay for her. If they genuinely wanted her to continue acting and supporting herself financially, why were they making that more difficult for her? And even if Harry and Aaron Korsh hadn't told us about the palace's demands, it is quite obvious in Meghan's last season of the show, season 7, that her character was being written differently. The characters of Rachel and Mike, who up until season 7 had a very passionate relationship, were significantly less physical. In fact, there is not one intimate scene between the couple in the entire season. I think the show did what they could to continue to portray them as a connected, loving couple, often giving them scenes in the bedroom, just not doing bedroom things. Meghan's character would often be working in bed, with Mike sitting on the edge or running out the door for work. They were certainly creative in how they wrote the couple to keep their connection, but there was still a noticeable shift. The character of Rachel Zane also dressed differently in season 7. In seasons 1 through 6, Rachel often wore pencil skirts with form-fitting tops. Sometimes they were sleeveless or V-neck, showing off Meghan's toned arms or her neckline. In season 7, though, Rachel was wearing high necklines and long sleeves in most of her scenes. Not that there is anything wrong with Rachel's wardrobe in season 7. Meghan looks great in anything. But again, it's a noticeable shift for her character. In my opinion, the only reason that Suits put up with the interference is because Meghan was already a well-established and loved member of the cast. But imagine if this were a new job for Meghan. Imagine if Meghan had continued acting after marrying Harry, and the royal family continued to interfere with her work. It would be much easier for a producer to fire someone who seems like a problematic cast member than to change the direction of the show to meet the demands of random people in another country. This intrusion could have greatly impacted her career and her income. But again, the royal family wasn't concerned with the impact on Meghan through any of this. And how is the royal family dealing with Aaron Korsh's acknowledgement of their interference? Well, by denying it, of course. Hours after The Hollywood Reporter released the interview, all of the major tabloids in the UK put out stories with palace sources refuting the claim that anyone from the palace interfered with Meghan's job. They also question Aaron's credibility and his memory and call his claim sensational. When I was reading about this story, this moment where the royal family is once again having their poor behavior pointed out, it made me think of something that Meghan said in the Netflix documentary. In episode 6, right before Meghan reads the speech she gave at her wedding, she says, "It's amazing how things come full circle that you never think about." And I just thought how true that is of this situation. 6 years ago, when the royal family didn't like that Meghan was an independent, confident woman with a career, they, or the comms team, or Charles, William, whoever, began interfering with Meghan's job, probably thinking that no one would ever know. No one would think that they were reaching out and changing dialogue or wardrobes or things her character would do. They had no idea that in 2023, after they condescendingly referred to her as an American actress for years, that Suits would go on to become the second most streamed series ever, with over 20.3 billion minutes watched, and growing, which led to the creator, Aaron Korsh, doing interviews, where he talked about people are watching the show to see Meghan, and the royal family made them change dialogue. That is the definition of full circle.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell.